Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode and long overdue episode of what are we called again?
The Squared
Circle Button podcast. That's right. Looks like our audio is good. Gonna start now. Guess you're taking a weird, awkward picture of me.
There we go.
All right. So, some things happened. A lot of things happened since the last time we had an episode, so...
Been a while.
I'm going to quickly go through some things and then get to the real meat of this podcast. It's been over 2 weeks, which is our usual window to have another podcast episode. And we've had a bunch of stuff happen, so one of those things is E3 2016. And so I was going to talk about some games that I saw as part of E3 and my thoughts on them. So that's going to be the meat of this show, I think. So I'll start it off actually with what I've been playing since then. I haven't had a lot of different games that I've been playing.
It's kind of been the same ones.
Yeah, for the most part. I've still been playing a lot of Overwatch. That's the main one, really. And they just added, actually, a competitive mode. So I've been itching to try that. I probably won't be very good at it, but I think that's going to be fun to do. Hopefully I can, get some... I think you can earn gold or something to spend in the shop if you do that, and get gold weapons, I think, even if you get enough wins. But I don't know if I'll be able to get that far, really. But I think that'll be fun to do. It's still a great game. Still highly recommend it. I also tried out Trials HD, which I've been... It's a game that I've had that I just haven't really played. So I was looking for, games to play just to fill the gaps and games that I could play quickly. So I started playing Trials, and that's really fun. It's a game about going through courses on a motorcycle and doing flips and getting the best time on the levels and stuff like that. And it's kind of silly sometimes. And they just came out actually with, I think it was during E3 they announced it, and then they kind of released it at the tail end of E3. Trials of the Blood Dragon. And what they did was took Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon, the story of that, and the essence of that, which was like old 80s cheese action movie, retro synth neon stuff, which I'm super into, and they added it to Trials, and they kind of meshed the two together. It's pretty cool so far. It's kind of different because they have like on foot sections and some shooting mechanics, which is interesting. And I'm having fun with it. I've heard people not really liking it as much.
Why? Like, what are their reasons?
I don't know. I think it's because of how different it is from Trials, and it's kind of, the story focus is kind of making it a different type of game that people don't really want from Trials, but I'm finding it fun so far, and I'm super into that stuff, so it's just fun to play. And also I started playing JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Eyes of Heaven, which I just got on PS4, and haven't gotten too far in it, but it's pretty fun so far. My thoughts on it right now, it seems like the fighting in the game is probably a bit more shallow than most people think, or most people prefer from games, but you unlock different abilities as you play the characters, and there's like a ton of characters.
Like, what do you mean by that? Just like not as much fighting as
it's not like
prefer,
a very deep fighting system, I don't think. Not as much as the actual fighting game, the like side by side fighting game on the PS3, the other one that I was playing.
Okay.
This one's more of like a third-person brawler, I guess, is what people call those games.
Okay.
Where it's not like one person on one side, one on the other side. This is more like you can kind of freely roam around the stage and fight, and you actually are always fighting with two characters at once that you can. I think you can. I don't know if you can switch actually. You play as someone and then you bring a partner and you can do like combo moves and stuff, which is cool. And sometimes it's actually kind of frustrating to trigger those or have them triggered and just have to wait for like the little interlude that plays to show you that they're activating something. It kind of breaks up the action sometimes, but it's super true to like anime in general, because that's kind of a thing that happens a lot in anime.
So it fits the show?
Yeah, I think it does. It's weird because they're not following any one of the stories. They're instead mashing up all the characters from the different parts of the show, and they put in a new story to kind of explain why that is. Okay. So it's kind of strange. So you'll be fighting characters that were supposed to be dead, and they kind of explain that. I won't say much more because it's kind of spoilerish, but if you haven't watched at least through, or read the manga at least through part 3, I think, which is Stardust Crusaders, then you're going to get some spoilers. But yeah, it's kind of weird. The story is kind of, I don't know what to think about it yet, just because it's kind of, it feels like they just kind of threw it together just so they had something carrying it. Like, the stories of the actual, the manga and well, I guess I don't really know much about the manga, but I know more about the anime, so the stories in the anime are pretty cool. Even though they're basic, I mean, they have interesting plots for, like, the different episodes. Whereas this kind of seems like it was written by someone that was just like, okay, how can we get these characters to interact, even though they're from like different time periods and or like these characters should be dead, but we need to find a way to include them because people like these characters.
So it's just like taking a pot and just throwing a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it's like let's make a plot device that will bring all of these characters together, even though it makes no sense. But
is
really
it fun?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm looking for. And there's a ton of things to unlock, like some hilarious costumes that you can actually unlock for people. I saw they had a costume for Jonathan Joestar where there was an episode where he actually dressed as a woman to infiltrate a base. And that is one of the unlockable outfits, so there's stuff like that. It's kind of cool. And I think you have to unlock it by playing the game. I don't think there's like a monetary alternative. And there's a lot of stuff to unlock, and I don't even have a lot of stuff right now to actually unlock with. So I wonder if you unlock it with like playing certain modes, you get more or what. But it's pretty fun so far. I'll have to probably talk more about it once I play more, but the cool thing is it does have a multiplayer. I think the fighting game did too, and I'm interested to try that out. If my friend Andrew gets it as well, I'll probably try to play it with him. And it sounds like you can either be on a team or you can go against each other, so I think I like that. That's pretty cool.
Like to have that option? Yeah,
because it's always 2-on-2 for the fights, so you can either have them play the other character on your team, or you can have them control the other team, kind of like single player, but you're going against each other. So you have the other character as the support, and it's just computer controlled, I think. So, pretty cool. That was about it for what I've actually been playing.
Game of Thrones has taken over our lives. So.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of Game of Thrones, so to catch up. So trying to avoid spoilers, which is near impossible. Especially in this year of our Lord 2016, where the internet is so ubiquitous and part of people's lives, and they just have to.
I already know 3 things that happen in the season.
They just have
finale.
to talk about Game of Thrones and state specifically what the spoilers are to take down all of the rest of us that are trying to catch up. But anyway,
it's still an amazing
that's
show.
besides the point.
But yeah, that's what's taken over our life. So that's probably why you haven't played many games.
Yeah, I think that's part of it, and just focusing on other stuff, which happens sometimes. Yeah, it's summer. There's other things to do.
Like camping and getting sunburnt.
Yeah. What I want to play or their upcoming releases, Inside. I've been hearing a lot about this game.
I have too, because you listen to podcasts.
Yeah. It's a game by the same people that did Limbo, which I liked very much, which was an indie game that was kind of like dark and moody and about a kid. And I remember he always died gruesome deaths, and there was some pretty dark stuff in that game, but it was like really cool. And there were some specific parts in that game that just kind of blew me away. Even though it was super short, it was only like a few hours long, probably. It sounds like this is kind of a similar deal, except the art style's a bit different. Inside released on Xbox One this past week, but tomorrow, July 7th, it's actually going to be released on PC. So went ahead and pre-ordered it. I think I'm not going to be disappointed because I've just been hearing really good things, and there's some spoilers that people are probably itching to talk about the game, and I want to get in on that before I purchase the game before I get spoiled on it, basically. So I'm gonna probably try to play that tomorrow once it releases. RE5, Resident Evil 5 on PS4. Actually released on the 28th of June. I was going to say that was upcoming, but we delayed our podcast a bit. And I went ahead and bought that. That's a really fun co-op game. So, I mean, Resident Evil 4 I will buy on pretty much every system I have that can play it. RE5 is similar to that. It's also really fun. I'm looking forward to doing some more co-op on that game, actually. Since they remastered it. Hitman Episode 3 came out a while ago, actually. I just haven't gotten around to playing it. And that would be... I'm trying to think where that one... So, Episode 2 is Sapienza. Episode 3 was... I can't remember. I think it was... Anyway, I'll get around to it. I don't know how many they're going to do for episodes, but the other cool thing they're doing with it, though, is like elusive targets, which are targets that they put into the game but can only be attempted in a small time frame, like a week. And then after that, they're gone. So it's kind of an interesting thing. I haven't done any of those, but it sounds like something cool to try out. So there's that. The other one... There's not a lot coming out in the next couple months that I actually am looking forward to, so hopefully I'll be able to catch up on some of my games in my backlog. So that's kind of what I'm thinking of doing. But I did find out the release date for Deus Ex Mankind Divided is on August 23rd, which is going to be coming up on my birthday, actually. So I'll probably pick that one up, actually. I really liked... Human Revolution. That was a pretty fun game, and the original Deus Ex I love a lot.
What's the basis of that game?
Deus Ex is a game where you play basically a cybernetically enhanced person, and you get all of these different ways that you can upgrade your cybernetics and stuff like that. And the original game was hailed a lot in its time when it came out because of the amount of choice that you could do in the game and how it affected the game. And I also found that really intriguing. And yeah, based on the choices you made, it actually did change quite a bit in the game. And I thought that was cool. But it also has been known to kind of have like choices at the end game where you could probably just save your game towards the end and then try all of the different paths for the ending, which some people don't like. I think it's fine because then I was able to see all the endings in pretty much one go when I played Human Revolution. But it's still a fun game. I'm looking forward to Mankind Divided because I really liked Human Revolution. And that would be a game I actually wouldn't mind replaying again before that comes out. So, but there's too many other games to play, so I probably won't. But we'll see how Mankind Divided is when it comes out in August. So with that, before I get into my E3 game breakdown, I am going to turn it over to the wrestling side of the podcast.
Yay!
Candace.
So, a ton of stuff has happened since the last time we did this.
It should have.
Like, literally, one specific thing that happened completely resolved itself in the time it took us to have another episode. I don't even have it on my list, and I might as well mention it. Jerry Lawler was arrested and suspended indefinitely for domestic violence. And as was his girlfriend, because apparently one threatened to kill the other, and there was a gun involved, and lots of drama, and just earlier this week, end of last week, they dismissed all the charges, and his suspension was lifted.
Wow.
So, which, on one side, okay, I'm glad you don't have to go to jail if it didn't happen, that type of thing, but at the same time, please go away.
He always seemed kind of, I don't know, sexist.
When a woman runs down to the ring or comes down to the ring and your first reaction is, puppies! Yeah. That was a word I heard a lot as a child.
However, I do enjoy his enthusiasm. I think he has that nailed down.
Yeah, he does get very excited.
He does the Howard Dean scream when stuff happens, and I always get a kick out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of suspensions,
Bridges.
Roman Reigns was suspended for violating the wellness policy.
Suspension party.
A lot of people...
That's probably a thing, actually.
Probably. A lot of people are automatically assuming that it is steroids or drugs of some kind, but they don't ever tell you when they suspend somebody for the wellness policy. Because the wellness policy includes a lot of things. At Money in the Bank, it was Roman Reigns against Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins pinned Roman Reigns. Dean Ambrose, who had won the Money in the Bank ladder match.
The Minnie in the Bank?
Money in the Bank ladder match earlier in the night.
The Minnie Mouse in the Bank?
Shut up. Cashed in and pinned Rollins, winning the title. And then on Raw the next night, I believe it was Raw. Yeah, Raw the next night, they set up Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns at Battleground, which is a match a lot of people have been waiting a very long time for because those three men were involved in the Shield. They were the Shield, and ever since Seth turned on the Shield, people have been wanting and clamoring for this match. And then the Tuesday after, Roman Reigns suspended for 30 days. Granted, his suspension ends July 21st. Battleground is July 24th. Lucky him. But
lines up perfectly, doesn't it?
Right. There's a lot of things I'm not going to get into that a lot of people are thinking not conspiracy, but favoritism towards...
Well, hey, if Jerry Lawler's back...
Well, a lot of people are thinking favoritism towards Roman Reigns because he's the top guy, but the fact that he was suspended in the first place...
He's the guy, from what I hear. That's what I hear on the street.
Anyway.
Yep.
So yeah, but the thing is, is he's gone the entirety of the storyline for this match. Like, the build up to the match, he won't be on any episode of Raw or any episode of SmackDown. And he misses, which I will talk on our next episode, the draft. He is your top guy besides John Cena, and he misses the draft. What are you supposed to do when Roman Reigns... Because the point of the draft is when the person is drafted to Raw or SmackDown, you're supposed to get a reaction or whatever. Like, it's a big deal. It's happened once before. I will get more into it on the next episode. But he's missing that. So it'll be interesting to see how they deal with that. It'll be interesting. And apparently Vince McMahon wants him to come back as a good guy. But, you know, everybody hates him already. And he's going to get booed even more. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how all of that
plays out.
Yes, plays out. I've been struggling.
You need to think of words.
I've been struggling with words lately. Another match at Battleground, at least I think it's at Battleground, New Day versus the Wyatt family. So, one of my favorite, they're actually both my favorite teams, or stables. One of my favorite things has been the Wyatt family, since they started. You know this, I sit in front of the TV with my flashlight. I love the Wyatt family. The thing about the Wyatt family, though, is they have been booked pretty pathetically. They're supposed to be this big, strong, backwoods cult, and they're supposed to be scary, and they're supposed to be terrifying, and they're supposed to be able to get into your head, and it's supposed to be this terrifying thing. Well, you can't be terrifying when you put Bray Wyatt against all these people and he loses to all of them. How are you supposed to be scary and terrifying and a big powerhouse when you're constantly losing? So they've kind of...
That's why The Undertaker's as good as he is, right?
Probably. And then on top of that, they randomly took Eric Rowan and Luke Harper away from Bray Wyatt, and Bray was by himself, and then they put him back together like nothing happened. And it's like, well, why... I don't understand what you're doing here. But the New Day has been doing Xavier Woods especially, has been doing an excellent job trying to build the Wyatt family back up. Because every time the New Day has a promo regarding the Wyatt family, Big E and Kofi are kind of making jokes, dressing up like the Wyatt family, teasing them, make all this stuff. And then you have Xavier who's standing there, and he's just straight-faced, just terrified. And on Raw, apparently, which I didn't see because we were coming back here, apparently what was said was Xavier said that, because the Wyatt family invited the New Day to their compound. And Kofi's like, yeah, let's do it. Of course we're going to do it. We're not scared. And Xavier's like, you're going to just accept it without thinking about it? Like, if you can't realize how dangerous the Wyatt family is, then the New Day might not be able to survive. So Xavier's doing an excellent job of building up the Wyatt family and making them back into what they were supposed to be this entire time.
He probably understands better how, you're supposed to set him up.
Well, it's all three of them. They're all doing an excellent job because Big E and Kofi are treating them not like this big deal and everything. And the combination, just what they're doing right now is just really good and it's exciting. And another exciting, impressive thing, Enzo Amore listing all 44, because Grover Cleveland was listed twice, all the presidents in 2 minutes. He apparently can do that. He's done it on Instagram before. He knows all the presidents and can just list them off.
This is
like
wrestling, obviously.
Well, he can. Like, legitimately, he can. Like, he's interested enough in the presidents that he knows every single president off the top of his head.
Okay.
And he had an Instagram video. And you know those Instagram videos aren't very long. Like, they're a short clip. And he was able to name all of them in the short clip. So, it was pretty cool. I liked it. I like Enzo. I like presidents. It was great. Technically, there have only been 43 presidents because Grover Cleveland was president twice. Anyway. So. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't shush. There are two things happening next Wednesday, actually. Finn Balor versus Shinsuke Nakamura, which I will actually probably watch that because I'm very excited for that match. I have avoided spoilers in general, and the internet has been really, really good about it. Like, this is a match that everyone is excited for, so when they taped NXT, a lot of wrestling fan sites and a lot of, like, they label their things spoilers, but nobody has said anything about the outcome of this match. This match already happened. It was taped a few weeks ago. It already happened. The winner already is all done. But the wrestling community has been really, really good. Like, all the websites I frequent, I have seen nothing to tell me who won this match. And that's something that's rare. Which shows you how important Finn Balor and Shinsuke Nakamura as a match is to wrestling right now. Like, that's a pretty big deal that not one person... I go on Tumblr every day. I follow 3 or 4 Facebook wrestling groups. I look at a wrestling news website every day. None of it has said a single thing about the outcome of this match. And I'm very excited because I get spoiled for everything else that I watch. So it's nice to know that next week I will be able to watch that match and see it and see what happens as it's playing out on the TV and not knowing anything in advance. Just that it was an excellent match, which everyone knew would be anyway. So that's pretty cool that we can all band together and not spoil things that are a big deal. The other thing that's happening, it starts next week, the Cruiserweight Wrestling Classic, otherwise known as the CWC. It is taking cruiserweights from all around the world. And they actually tonight did bracketology for it. It's a bracket, and it's a tournament, and it's pretty much one of them that I know of that's in it is Arya Daivari, who is the brother of Sean Daivari, and both of them are from Minnesota. So that's pretty exciting. I've been watching Sean Daivari since Steel Domain Wrestling when he was the Chic Sean Daivari. He had a kick-ass finishing move. It was called the Magic Carpet Ride. He literally took a colorful carpet and jumped off the top rope onto the carpet, like holding the carpet, jumped onto it, and like drop kicked his. It was amazing. It was so great. I love indie wrestling. It's so great. But his brother is in it, and Johnny Gargano, Zack Sabre Jr. Yeah, there's a ton of them. It's gonna be fun. I'm probably gonna try really hard to watch that too. And it might actually be something you'd be interested in because it'd be the high flying.
Yeah, I don't know.
Speaking of high flying, I had asked you if that was what you were interested in, and I mentioned before we started Jushin Thunder Liger. And I told you that it would be revealed during the episode why I was mentioning Jushin Thunder Liger. So, Cody Rhodes is continuing his setting up of matches now that he's not in WWE anymore. He's facing Kurt Angle, he's facing Tommaso Ciampa, he's facing all sorts of people. Cody Rhodes will be wrestling Jushin Thunder Liger. I was first introduced...
Should I be excited?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because Jushin Thunder Liger is amazing. Thank you for that faked enthusiasm. It makes me happy that you're at least trying.
Tigers. Ligers.
Okay. Anyway, so...
It's a Liger. It's pretty much the best animal ever.
Oh my god. Jushin Thunder Liger existed before that movie. I hate that movie. Unpopular opinion,
Everyone likes it.
Unpopular opinion, I know, but I hate Napoleon Dynamite. Couldn't even make it through the entire movie. So, my first introduction to Jushin Thunder Liger was when I was a child, and he came over from Japan to face Flyin' Brian Pillman. And I will show you some of those matches. They hold up to today. They happened in the 90s, and they hold up. They were amazing matches, and it makes me really sad that Brian Pillman got into a car accident and became dependent on drugs and then died. So, because he had a ton of talent.
For some reason, I thought about that guy that, like, quit something and then joined the army and got shot.
Pat Tillman?
Okay, that's who that was.
He quit the NFL and then he died in the war. Yep.
That's who I was thinking about.
Yep. But yeah, I'm super excited for that, and hopefully I'll be able to find a video of it or something. That one, and then Kurt Angle and Cody Rhodes, and I'm really excited for these matches because I love them. Before I get into my last thing, just for my brother Jacob, I asked him if he wanted me to talk about anything, and he mentioned the Blue World Order. So I will explain this. Back in the 90s, when the New World Order started, the NWO, ECW was going on, and the Blue World Order was started in ECW. It was Stevie Richards, it was the Blue Meanie, and it was Nova. So it was pretty much... Stevie Richards was referred to as Big Stevie, the Blue Meanie, and I think they had names, but yeah, those three. And I asked him, I was like, what about them? Just their existence? Like, what do you want me to talk about them? And he said yes. So I'm mentioning them. They were kind of lame, but kind of funny. And it was cool, I guess. And yeah, there you go, Jacob. There's the Blue World Order, because you wanted me to mention them. So, alright. So, yeah, kind of random, but he wanted me to talk about them. So I was going to talk about John Cena. If you play that stupid soundboard, I'm gonna... The button.
No, I'm not going to.
Good, thank you. So, John Cena debuted June 27th, 2002 on an episode of SmackDown in the Ruthless Aggression era against Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle said something about no one has ruthless aggression and no one is good enough to face him, and then this unknown guy with like this flat top haircut and these shorts and knee pads and boots that were clearly the color of the state that they were in, which was what John Cena did. He came out and Kurt Angle's like, what do you have that nobody else in the back has? And he said...
You can't see me.
He said ruthless aggression.
Oh.
And if I remember right, he may have actually beat Kurt Angle. But that was his debut. And from June until...
Did he make him a right angle?
I'm gonna hurt you. From June until Halloween, he was that John Cena. When he came to Minnesota, he wore purple and gold. He was kind of like The Rock was when Rocky Maivia started. He was very trying to be pleasing to the crowd, all of that, like trying too hard. Halloween rolls around, 2002, and John Cena shows up dressed as Vanilla Ice for Halloween. And he does the Ice Ice Baby rap. The beginning of it. The look, stop, collaborate, and listen.
Mm-hmm.
And then he did his own rap. And that's what started the Doctor of Thugonomics. Now, my favorite version of John Cena is the Doctor of Thugonomics. I love that version of him because it was the most entertaining. He wore his throwback jerseys, he rapped. It was great. And then shortly after that, it's probably around for maybe 6 months, if that. And then we were given the John Cena we have now. The hustle, loyalty, respect, never give up John Cena. My best example is I was watching the Judgment Day that I attended in 2005, and he came out for his match against JBL. It was an I Quit match, and he came out, and I asked you what sounded familiar about that. And you said his theme. That was 11 years ago. He has the same theme and has had the same theme for 11 years. And the shirt he was wearing that night at Judgment Day was the same shirt he had last year when he had the US title, except it was for the heavyweight title. So he essentially hasn't changed in 11 or 12 years. And he's been around for 14 years. So for a long time, I couldn't stand him. He annoyed me. I didn't want to see him. I didn't want to look at him. I couldn't see him. So stupid. And I just got really annoyed with him because he always won and he always was around and he never left. And when he would come back from an injury, it would be so much sooner than what anybody else would. Like, oh, John Cena's been hurt and he has to have surgery and he'll be out 6 to 9 months. 4 months later, he'd be back. And it just got really annoying. And, like, he started being called Super Cena. He never lost. It just was aggravating. And then after a while, I thought about it. And I realized he is the Hulk Hogan of this generation. My favorite wrestler when I was a kid was Hulk Hogan. A lot of kids love John Cena. I went to the event with Brittany, Dylan, and Abby last year. Their first wrestling event. And Brittany and Abby love John Cena. They're 12 and 8. And I have video of Abby seeing John Cena for the first time. And I look back at that video and I almost start crying because, like, it makes me so happy to see a kid see their favorite wrestler in person for the first time. Because I remember feeling like that. Seeing my favorite wrestlers in person for the first time. And after that event, so March 15th, 2015, I started looking at John Cena a little differently. I still, without a shadow of a doubt, will chant John Cena sucks with the rest of the crowd when his theme plays, if they ever come back to Minnesota. Come back to Minnesota, WWE.
I can't hear you.
Yes, they can. But yeah, I will gladly chant that. But I started seeing him for what WWE wants him to be. And I actually kind of stopped complaining about a lot of things with wrestling after that event because I got to see it through the eyes of children. And I got to experience their first wrestling event with them, and it kind of changed my perspective on it because I was starting to become a cynical, annoyed person. Like, oh, I've been watching wrestling this long, and this is stupid, and pretty much the internet wrestling community. They feel entitled to things because they've been watching for so long that they believe whatever they want should be done. But the point of wrestling right now, this current PG era, is it's geared towards children. Just like the early 90s was. When a lot of people in the internet wrestling community, a lot of them are my age, some of them are older, but a lot of them are my age, and we grew up with Macho Man, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, all of them, and we also grew up with really stupid characters like Bastion Booger and Doink the Clown and things like that. But it was those dorky, cartoonish characters that we grew up with, and it was geared towards us as children because we would be the ones to get our parents to spend more money on it.
It's funny that you mentioned that it's more geared towards children now, whereas in video games, they're actually doing the other direction.
Really?
Because everyone knew that video games were, at least early on, they thought, it's all kids stuff. It's like a toy or something. And now they're actually realizing that the average age of gamers is like 30s or 40s or something like that. So there's a lot of older like adults that play games regularly, and so I don't know, they've kind of made more mature games as a result, whereas there were games that were rated mature back in the day, but they didn't really, they might have been gratuitous.
Growing up, it wasn't really focused on us or like us now, like adults. Like it was
always marketed to kids.
Yeah.
But they know that that's not the case anymore, and that gamers that grew up with, like, they were kids back then are now older and still play games because it's such a big part of pop culture right now that it's more accepted to play games at any age or, any gender and whatnot. So I just thought I'd put that in there.
I think the thing with wrestling is, like, for example, I've watched it my entire life. My mom watched it as a child. My mom grew up with it. My mom stayed being a fan, and she introduced it to us. And I don't know. Wrestling goes in phases. There was the Rockin' Wrestling in the 80s when WrestleMania started, and Hollywood loved it. And then the 90s for the kids. And then the Attitude Era. And now they're going into, again, for kids. And I don't see a problem with that. Wrestling...
So were you going somewhere with the John Cena thing?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
So I watched a video, and you came home from work.
That's what I was wondering, because I watched the video too.
Well, not the one you're thinking of. That one was amazing. The one of John Cena and talking about love has no labels and everything. I thought that was really cool. But the one I'm talking about is the one when you came home from work and I was still crying.
Yeah.
So John Cena has granted over 500 wishes for the Make-A-Wish, because a lot of children that watch wrestling, their dream is to meet John Cena. And the ones that are sick get that chance, and it's always, I want to meet John Cena. I want to meet John Cena. So every time every free second that this man has, which isn't much, it's meeting children, going out and doing media blitzes to bring attention to wrestling. And he's the face of the company for a reason. And there have been videos lately, like within the last year or so, that come out after Raw. And it's usually somebody that John Cena had met earlier in the day. And it's usually a child. They're either battling cancer or they survived cancer. And he brings them into the ring to give them their own little moment. And to see how happy these kids look, I feel like all the cynical wrestling fans need to pull their heads out of their asses and look at how much these children idolize and love him. Is John Cena's character stale? Fuck yes. It's been 11 or 12 years of the same thing. But he will never become a bad guy because you look at all the children that love him. It would be like Hulk Hogan joining the NWO. I remember.
Yeah, that would be devastating. If that happened.
I was a 10-year-old when Hulk Hogan joined the NWO. He went from red and yellow.
Speaking of the mic.
To black and white. And I remember being absolutely pissed. I was so angry at Hulk Hogan as a child. Stop trying to move me. I was livid as a child. So I can't even imagine how angry children would be if they turned John Cena heel. Would it make it more interesting for the adults? Yes. But it's not for us. Yes, we still watch it, but it's geared towards the children, and they're not going to take the face of their company and make him into a bad guy. And I feel like every cynical wrestling fan...
Until they get a new one.
Right. They're trying with Roman Reigns, but it's not working. But yeah, my point is, wrestling fans who literally complain constantly and still watch, that's the thing that makes me laugh, is there are people on the internet that will bitch about every single thing on wrestling, but they'll watch it the next week, or they'll watch SmackDown, and they'll keep watching, just so they can keep bitching about it. And it's like, shut up and enjoy it for what it is. It's to be that cynical and to hate it that much that you... I feel like a lot of people are starting...
Well, they don't care. They're still paying them. Getting the money.
Vince McMahon still gets your money. Yeah. So if you really want to hit him where it hurts, stop watching. Stop giving him money. Like, what's the point?
The truth is, somewhere deep inside, they enjoy it.
Exactly, because it's like, why sit and watch something and just complain the entire time? This man makes so many children happy. And I bet you there is a child in every single one of those internet wrestling community bitching and complainers. I bet you there is at least one child in their life that watches wrestling that fucking loves John Cena. And it's because the hustle, loyalty, respect, never give up, as annoying as it is in a character, it's also a really good motto. Never give up. Like, that kid that he brought into the ring fought cancer for 2 years, and he's a survivor. He beat cancer. And that's what made me cry. The fact that he got his little moment, and John Cena gave him a moment in front of the fans, and 20,000 people were cheering for this kid. And it was because John Cena brought him into the ring and gave him that moment. And he got to experience that moment with his favorite wrestler in front of 20,000 people. Like, that'll be a moment that kid will never forget. John Cena gives people moments that they will not forget. And he is the Hulk Hogan of this generation. And I can't hate him for that. I can't. I cannot fault him. I understand completely why he's the face of the company, because he's a damn good face of the company. And I have children in my life that absolutely adore him. And I'm thankful because he introduces people into wrestling. He'll never be
as popular as Hulk Hogan was, though.
Hulk Hogan transcended wrestling.
Yeah, I know.
Just like The Rock. Like,
I don't think John Cena's like a household name like Hulk Hogan is.
I don't...
Other than becoming a meme, that really helped.
Yeah. I don't know if he could ever... Maybe.
Become a meme, and that's how you become a household name in the year of our Lord 2016.
It's difficult to transcend wrestling. There have only been really 2 that I can think of.
Stone Cold.
Well, I suppose.
The Undertaker. Everyone knows The Undertaker.
I feel like there's a lot of people that don't.
Andre the Giant.
Yes, that's because Andre's amazing.
He became a famous piece of art as well.
Yes, yes he did. Yes he did.
And he was in movies.
Yes. He was
Movie.
Fezzik.
I don't know if he's in more than one, actually.
I'm pretty sure he was only in The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
But The Princess Bride is such a...
It's a great movie.
A great movie. Such
Required
a big movie.
watching for anybody.
Oh, yes,
If you
definitely.
have a heartbeat, you should watch it.
Exactly, yes. I would agree. But yeah, if John Cena transcends wrestling eventually, he's starting to. A lot of people have seen him in Trainwreck, the Sisters movie with Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. He's on the Today Show a lot. He's like their co-host a lot. He's on there quite a bit.
Which one is that one?
NBC.
Who hosts that again? That Today? Is that Letterman?
No.
That's the Tonight?
No. Today Show is like the morning show.
Oh, Today Show. I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Is that with, like, Al Roker and stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And...
Matt Lauer.
Matt Lauer. Yeah.
Yes. He's on there. He's a co-host a lot on there.
Alright.
But... So yeah, cynical wrestling fan, shut the fuck up and enjoy wrestling for what it is.
Hey now, family show.
Again! When has this been a family show? I've sworn since the beginning.
I know. Hey, use your words. Anyway, was that your...
That was what I was ending on.
Your rant? Not really a rant, but...
Just please just watch wrestling for what it is and enjoy it for what it is.
And John Cena 2016.
John Cena's pretty awesome, actually.
Dun, 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 dun. All right.
Dun, 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 dun.
Time for what everyone was waiting for.
Oh, yeah.
The E3 2016 discussion. Square table, round. It's not a round table. And there's only 2 people here. And pretty sure you don't know what a lot of these games are. But that's okay. Because I'll bring it straight to you. Alright, so I wanted to go through the games that I deemed worthy to talk about. May not be the same games that other people deem worthy to talk about, but I just picked some stuff that I thought looked cool, looked promising, whatever. So yeah, we can talk a little bit about the games that were showed at E3. So I just have a big list here. I'll go ahead and just jump right into it. First off, Cuphead. I think that one is still an Xbox One exclusive. It might be also on PC at some point. I'm not sure. But I guess they showed more of that. They have... I think they have more lead up to the boss fights because it seemed like that game was centered around boss fights. So if you don't know what Cuphead is, and the person sitting next to me right now may not know what it is.
I have no idea what it is.
So Cuphead is basically this side-scrolling, shooter game, I guess, kind of. And as the title suggests, you play someone that has a cup for head. The draw of this game is all of the graphics are hand-drawn, to look like they're like an old, like, Looney Tunes cartoon.
Okay, you say Looney Tunes, I'm interested.
Yes. It looks amazing. If you look at the animation and stuff in that game, you'll be blown away. And that's why it looks really cool, and I really want to see more of it and play it at some point. Hopefully they bring it to other platforms because I really want to play that game.
I might watch you play that.
I might have to show you videos of that. It looks really cool. It's like... I guess it actually looks more like if Disney, like old Disney, like Steamboat Willie style Disney, made a game with that art.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna have to look into this.
Like, and it's got like the kind of like effects that make it look like the imperfections, you know? It's not like games nowadays where everything is like hard, sharp edges and like bright colors, and it's like kind of like muted colors with like the little like the little imperfections that you would see by like scanning cells of animation back in the day, or however they did it. They took pictures of single frames of animation and stuff to actually get animations to work, and it looks really cool. That's the main draw of the game. Apparently it's really hard too, but
I'm interested now.
Yeah, I'll have to show you that later. Next on the list, going down pretty much alphabetically. Some of these I actually missed, so I might talk about them out of order, but that's okay. Hideo Kojima, praise be, was there at E3 2016. He came out looking boss. He was like walking down, like he just almost descended. Like they could have done that too, probably, but he was walking. Okay. He was walking at the Sony press conference, like down the thing, and they had this floor where they could like project pretty much whatever they wanted onto it, and they projected like a glowing bridge that was building as he was walking, and it looked cool except for the fact that he walked in front of it. Like he should have slowed down a little bit to make the illusion better, but it's live, things happen. He's probably just happy to be there and announce. Apparently the game that his new studio will be working on, called Death Stranding, and they showed a brief trailer of the game. People still don't know what the heck is going on in it. I don't know if you watched.
Oh, was that video?
That was the one with Norman Reedus.
And the baby?
Yeah. And then it became a meme because of course it did.
I do remember that.
It was something to do with like there was a baby and Norman Reedus was naked and there's like oil and stuff everywhere. And
yeah, I don't...
There were like electrical cords, and I think they were implying that this baby was his baby, or he like gave birth to it somehow, even though he's obviously a male. And then there were like these 5 floating figures in the sky that were equidistant apart from each other, and I don't know if there was just some weird imagery going on, or...
Did he do it on purpose, or...
Well, it is a Kojima trailer, so it's pretty much par for the course.
True.
We don't know what the heck's going on, though. At least with the Metal Gear, we had like background to kind of give us some more clues as to what's going on. But this is a totally new IP, and people don't know what's going on, but they're like, okay, finally got Norman Reedus in a game, because as people may remember, there was a game that he was going to develop called Silent Hills.
Oh, yeah.
And that was going to have Norman Reedus star in it as well.
And then shit went down.
Yep, and that's kind of around the time that Konami started burning everything to the ground, sadly. But I'm glad that Kojima's with Sony now and actually has like the backing that he probably needs to make something new and exciting, and hopefully it'll be awesome, whatever it is. Apparently it's a sci-fi game of some sort, sci-fi action game. We'll see what it's gonna be, because there was no gameplay. It was just a trailer, a CG trailer, probably in-game engine, I'm not sure, but we'll see. So that's Death Stranding, kind of a weird title. We'll see if it stays
Kojima.
That way. Yeah, I don't know. Metal Gear Solid is a weird title, but it's been around so long that people are like, oh, it's just recognizable, and they don't think much about it anymore. So, but I think that had to do something with the translation from Japanese. So go figure. Next on the list, I had a star next to this because I thought it was one of the most interesting ones. God of War. They're basically doing a reboot of God of War. However, it looks like it plays entirely different than the other ones. It's almost an entirely different game. Kratos is now apparently living in a different location that seems to evoke Norse mythology, perhaps, because he has an axe now instead of the wrist blades that he is known for. So if people know the story behind those, they were pretty much bound to him, actually, in the story of Kratos. So, interesting. I'm interested to see how this occurred, where he no longer has those attached to his person. And, yeah. So, the camera angle is one of the biggest giveaways as to why this game is totally different than the other ones. The other God of War games was kind of like an overhead camera. Sometimes like it would follow Kratos around and like change. It was usually like fixed, but it would kind of like follow the character. And then when he went into a new area, it would change or start following him for a bit. It was like all these different camera angles. Now, however, it's kind of like an over-the-shoulder camera angle as you're controlling him. So it's almost like more of like a modern game, because a lot of modern games use, I say modern, but like more recent games use that kind of camera angle, at least action games do. And it looks like there's some exploration elements. And also, Kratos has a son now. Apparently. I don't know if it's a birth by birth or if he adopted him of some sort. I don't know. Because if people know their Kratos lore, they know that he killed his family in the original game. And he had to atone for that, and that's why he was in service to the gods. I don't think he had any other dealings. I mean, there was some things he did in the other games where probably tell you that he's probably fathered plenty of sons in his time.
Kind of like Zeus?
Yeah, and that's funny because you actually end up fighting Zeus. But other than that, yeah, I don't know if this is like his actual son or what the deal is. It seems like it is, but in the demo they show he's like teaching him how to hunt and stuff like that, and then like chastising him when he doesn't do it right, and he's like, you gotta focus, you gotta now go chase that deer, you didn't kill it, you gotta chase it down, or however he said it in a Kratos type fashion. And apparently Kratos has an axe now that he can throw and stuff like that, and he did something where it came back to his hand, like Hammer of Thor style. He killed some enemy, and then he was able to just like grab it, use the force or something, grab it. And then like at the end of the demo, he fought like some big cyclops or something. It might have just been like a giant, a frost giant of some sort. I think because those are part of Norse mythology, and I think they were really hinting at the Norse mythology thing, which is interesting. So apparently Kratos is going to invade a whole different mythology now. Probably kill some more gods in that mythology. So yeah, he kills it and then they resume hunting this deer, and they finally catch up to it, and he tells the boy to finish it off, basically, and trying to teach him to be a man, like Kratos, like his pappy. And it's kind of interesting and awkward how like he was just Kratos is kind of not a very caring father. Apparently, he's very, I don't know, like strict to get him to be a man or something. I don't know. But anyway, I thought that was worth talking about. People have called it Dad of War because you're taking the kid around. But yeah, there was like stuff that popped up, like when you explore a new area, it says like area explored XP something. So it's like gonna have more RPG elements, it sounds like, which is interesting. It kind of gave me like a Skyrim type vibe almost. So it'll be like Skyrim meets God of War meets, I don't know, Resident Evil 4 or something. I don't know. Just because of the camera angle. But anyway, that was a big game. Kind of a surprise because it looks like an entirely different style of game because you're fighting with a different camera angle, and I'm not sure how that's going to all work out. But because those are usually for shooters, and he kind of gets in and does melee usually. So we'll see how that works out. I guess it could change before it comes out, but anyway. Next on my list is Gwent. They're making a digital game, standalone version of Gwent, which is the card game from The Witcher 3. And that looks cool. Apparently people really like Gwent, so it was a long time coming. I never really got good at it, and I never got a lot of cards, so I could take it or leave it, but it's cool that they're doing it, I think. So, I also have not finished The Witcher 3, so...
Oh yeah, that was that one game.
It was a really good game, though.
Playing.
Next on the list, that you might like, Injustice 2.
Woo!
Everyone's got armor now. At least that's what the trailer made it look like.
I'm so excited.
And you just can't hide it.
I just can't hide it.
Yep. And so they showed some more footage of that, and I forgot what their tagline was about it. Something like, every battle defines you or something. So, like, maybe depending what happens in the battle, like, changes you somehow. I don't know how that's going to work.
I don't even care. I finished story mode on the first one. I'm super fucking pumped for this one. As long as I can play as Harley as much as I want, I'm
sure
fine.
you can. They're probably going to include her still.
They damn well better.
Another game I wanted to talk about, The Last Guardian. It finally has a release date. I don't know why people are talking about this game more. Probably because it's been in development too long, and development hell, really, because it was not going to be released, and then it was going to be released, and not going to be released, and then on and off.
So is it like that Duke Nukem game that they kept talking about? And wasn't there another game?
Hasn't quite reached that.
Wasn't there another game? Isn't there another game, Half-Life 3 or whatever?
That one's probably not even been in development, so people have to stop wishing for that one. But it'll live on forever as a meme. But yeah, The Last Guardian, they showed more of that. There's a new trailer and stuff for it. Apparently people got to play it, which I am jealous of. It's from the same people that made Ico and Shadow of the Colossus, which Shadow of the Colossus is probably one of the best games on PS2, if not one of the best games ever made, for some people at least. It was a fantastic game. I haven't really played Ico, even though I have the bundle, the HD remasters of both Ico and Shadow of the Colossus. Probably try that out sometime, but yeah, The Last Guardian is another game from them. It's your boy, similar to the other games. You were usually some young kid or something, and this one's no different, but you have a pet, kind of, not really a pet, but you come across some griffin, cat, bird thing, and it's huge. And I guess there are more than one of it, because I remember seeing in the trailer that it was kind of fending itself off from another one. So we'll see how that works out. But people, the draw of this game is going to be your relationship with this animal. And it's very apparent, and I don't know if I'm going to hope that it dies or almost dies, because that's probably going to happen. I'm probably going to be prepared for it. But it's still going to be super sad, and people are probably going to still cry. But we'll see what happens. Because it seems like something that's going to happen if you get so attached to this thing. But it looks cool. I'm looking forward to playing it. October 25th of this year is when it'll be out. Excited for that. The next one is probably the other biggest game of the show. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I was kind of skeptical at first, because I was thinking, another Zelda game. What can they possibly do? And then when I heard, they're going to make it open world. Well, it's not really much different from an open world already. I don't understand. But really, they're bringing some open world game mechanics into Zelda that makes sense. They're not going all out with everything, but it actually looks like it's going to be really cool and fun. I watched some of the stream where they were playing it. Some people from Nintendo were playing it and talking about the game, and a few things stood out to me. So one is you can collect like all these different things from downed enemies, and you can like do things like take there were like these skeleton enemies or whatever, and you could use their limbs as weapons and stuff. It was really interesting.
Wasn't there something you were like freaking out about that he could do?
Oh yeah, I was freaking out about you can jump now. You couldn't in every other Zelda game. I think you weren't able to jump at will unless you had like an item or something. You always had like predetermined places that you could jump, but now you can jump wherever you want, which is completely new for the series. And there's other things that are completely new for the series. I mean, the map itself that they showed, they're like playing in this area of the game, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. It's a big area. And then they zoomed out to like the full world map, and they were only on like a small portion of it. So this game's gonna be pretty big. And it just looked cool, like the way that you did things in the world. Apparently you can like do some crafting and stuff like that, and I mean some of that kind of makes sense for a Zelda game, and it looks like they're making some cool decisions, good decisions with the game, and I can't wait to play it. Hopefully I'll be able to play it on Wii U. People think that it's coming out for the NX, I believe, but I think they're playing it on a Wii U at the show. So, and it looked just fine, and it looked like it played well, so really looking forward to that. Next on the list, Mafia 3, which it's actually going to be out October 7th. I watched a trailer of it. I was kind of caught off guard. It was interesting because it didn't look like a Mafia game from the trailer at first. It actually, the protagonist was an African American guy, and it was interesting, like how they're weaving that into the whole mob story. It sounds like a revenge type story. I wish I could have watched it again and refreshed my memory about it, but it sounds like you will be interacting with the mob and stuff as this character, and apparently it's to get back for something that happened before. I wish I remembered, but either way, it looks like it's going to be cool. I didn't really see any gameplay, but I'm hoping that it's going to be the quality it was as the other ones. I think I played Mafia, and I really enjoyed Mafia 2 as well. What they did with those games, it was pretty cool. So looking forward to that. The other one that I was not expecting really, at least at this E3, they're going to be making a new Quake game called Quake Champions. And it was interesting watching the trailer. You could tell early on that it was a Quake game because you're like, oh, wait a minute, is that the Quake guy? And is he rocket jumping? And well, he may not have rocket jumped, but he was using the weapons that you would expect him to. But it looks like it's going to be cool. There was no real gameplay. It was kind of just a CG trailer teaser thing, but it looks like what they're going to do with it is they're going to have abilities, which, I mean, I could talk more about that and if that's going to be good or not, because Quake has always been just a pure skill-based shooter, and adding abilities to that, I'm not sure if that's going to actually degrade the quality of the game. Or it may not degrade the quality, but it won't be Quake, and I think people will just want Quake. But obviously it's 2016, they want to try to spice it up with something.
The year of our Lord.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm excited. It's Quake. I want to see what they do with it. So, And if people really don't like it, they can go and play Quake Live because it's still just as good as ever. So, another game, Prey, looked cool. I saw the trailer for that. I didn't play the first game, but I don't know. This game looks cool at least. Figured I'd just mention it. Res Infinite, which is going to be Res in VR, which is the perfect thing for VR. That game is so... I gotta show you some clips of Res.
Okay.
It's like this complete audio visual. It's like a rhythm. It's a music based game, and you're like this person that looks like they're in like the style of VR from like 90s version of VR, you know, where it's like all polygons that are like one color, like shaded one color or something. Have you ever seen The Lawnmower Man?
Probably.
I'm trying to think of other things, like maybe even Tron or stuff like that. I don't know. Whereas just like the old school, what they thought VR looks like. There's a lot of that in Res. And now they're bringing Res to VR, which is perfect because it looks like you're in a VR like world in that game, and I think it's perfect. And apparently you can like look around, which you couldn't really do. You're kind of on a track going forward. You never really are able to look around, and the soundtrack for that game is amazing. I remember when I got Res HD on the Xbox 360 and played that, and that was just amazing. And it's a game you have to turn the music up and just like watch it and get lost in it, because it's just a sensory, not overload, but like a sensory, I don't know how to describe it. It's just something I think you have to experience, and doing it in VR seems like taking it to the next level, I think, and it's gonna be amazing. So I'm excited, even though I don't have any VR stuff right now. I want to see what that's going to look like and how it's going to play, because that just seems like amazing to me. Next on the list, Sea of Thieves, which is the new game from Rare. They did a trailer where there's a bunch of like different people with face cams playing the game together. It looks like it's kind of like an MMO game. But you're pirates, and the stuff you can do in that game looks really cool. Like they're doing the ship stuff right, like controlling the ship, requiring other people to like man parts of the ship, shooting cannons at other ships, like ramming other ships. When you're sinking, it's really dynamic. So like, if you're in the holds of the ship, you know, like you'll see the water start to fill up and it'll like tilt and stuff, and you have to try to get out. So that looks really cool. The way they did it, some people don't really like how they did it with like fake YouTube personalities or something like that, but I didn't really pay too much attention about that. I was just looking at how the gameplay was going to be, and it looks like it's going to be pretty solid. So I think that's going to be a cool game to follow. And everyone wants a good pirate game, right? To play with your friends?
I suppose.
Everyone wants to be pirate. Next on the list, South Park: The Fractured But Whole. And it's spelled B-U-T space W-H-O-L-E. So it's another play on words, as they always do with every big production of something South Park. They did it with the movies. They did it with the games. They're continuing that trend. Obviously, if you listen to me say that out loud, you probably know what the alternate kind of double entendre that's going for. But for those of you that played The Stick of Truth, which was the last South Park game, it was a really fun game. And if you're a South Park fan, it's pretty much what you were looking for in a South Park game. It was a cool RPG, like turn-based RPG, kind of like Final Fantasy in them, but you're playing your own created character and other South Park characters. and it was a blast. And tied into the show, like numerous references to the show.
So perfect.
It was amazing. And now this one even looks better. Like they're making the combat system a little different. You can kind of move around. It's like more grid based now, I guess, and you can do different things like push or pull people that you're fighting. And so like apparently positioning is now important. So it's not just like a simple turn-based system. There's like another layer to it. And now it's more a superhero theme, I guess. So now the classes are actually going to be superhero based instead of before, which they were just like classic RPG classes, like Dungeons and Dragons type stuff. Now it's going to be superheroes, and they have different like archetypes of superhero.
Oh, so like the coon.
Yeah, I think so. So like, yeah, everyone's doing the superhero thing now, and not the like RPG thing, or they were doing like Lord of the Rings or whatever they were doing.
The coon.
So, yeah, it's more of that. So I am excited because that game was phenomenal, and I enjoyed pretty much every minute of that game. Hopefully Al Gore doesn't try to keep posting on my
Oh my
on
god,
my Facebook
Al
wall.
Gore was so freaking annoying in that game.
Yeah, he was also a really hard boss to defeat.
It's like, shut up, Al Gore, I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah. That was amazing.
Go away, Al Gore.
Okay, moving on. There's a game called Detroit, which I guess was another...
Is it pretty much just barren wasteland?
No.
Or... Oh.
No.
Okay.
Except it would have been funny if someone made like a zombie game like that or something. And
It's like, oh, shit.
there was another game, a zombie game that they showed, but I didn't really care. It looked so bland, and I forgot the name of it already. But anyway, Detroit is like one of those games, like David Cage games, who did like Heavy Rain and Indigo Prophecy. And
Heavy Rain was a great game.
yeah, it was. I don't know if it actually is by the same people, though. I have to double check on that. But this one seems like in the same vein where you can make different choices and stuff, and it's kind of like you'll walk around, but then you'll have like sequences where you have to press buttons to make choices and stuff. This one is centered around there's androids, I guess. That's like the plot driver. So it's like probably not too distant future, but they're androids and they look like humans, and they have like blue blood and stuff like that, and then there's conflicts. I think in the trailer they were showing, they were focusing on like the different ways each scenario could play out. You were playing as this android who was trying to stop another android from killing a person, and I guess the androids are meant to, they have like, directives and stuff. They're supposed to, make sure they don't hurt people, but this one was going rogue or something like that, and you had to try to like talk him off of the ledge, literally, because they were on a skyscraper or some tall building, and depending what you do and what you say can determine how that scenario plays out. So they can end up dying, you can end up getting shot, getting someone else shot, you can save the person. I think it was like a girl child, and or you could get everyone killed or whatever. It's all dependent upon like what choices you make, and it looks like it could be a cool story, because I'm all about those kind of like sci-fi stories about like androids and stuff, and more of that is always a good thing. If they go like more philosophical with the story, I think that's going to be cool, because I really like that type of sci-fi type storytelling. So I'm looking forward to that. Next on the list, Tekken 7. I didn't really see any stuff about it at E3, but did get to play it a little bit, a playable version at Comic-Con in Minneapolis. That's when we got to see our friend Anthony. Got to play a little bit of Tekken 7, and looks cool. I'm not a huge Tekken player, but I played some of 3 quite a bit, and this is probably the one I played since then. I think I played a little bit of 5, maybe. I don't remember, but I might have to try to get good at Tekken again just to prepare for this, because I'd like to get into another fighting game, I think. And I already really like Yoshimitsu, so I gotta probably try to play him. But yeah, that looks cool. Titanfall 2, I didn't really see much of that either, but I heard some good things about it. So I think if they expand on the whole idea that they did with Titanfall 1 and make it more, I think, some more content and different things you can do, different types of Titans, I think it'll be pretty cool. I might actually pick it up this time. I remember playing in the beta for the first game, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't think it was something that would hold my interest for very long, so I kind of skipped over that one. But I think I'd be excited for this one. Next on the list is Battlefield 1, which is the new Battlefield game set in World War One, which isn't a war that many games use at all. Like, there are very few.
It's always World War II.
It's always World War II. Or like
Hitler.
modern stuff like the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, which the Modern Warfare games have kind of been playing off of.
Did they ever do the Gulf War?
I don't think specifically. I think there were some simulation games that had scenarios that were based in the Gulf War, but I don't think there were, to my knowledge, any big ones that did. Like Call of Duty, does the more modern ones, and they did a lot of World War II games as well. But now Battlefield is doing World War One, so there's a lot of interesting things. Like, did you know that people in World War One actually wore like plate armor to protect them? So there's that. I mean, and they got kind of weird stuff because technology wasn't really developed for war. It was kind of shifting at that point, because machine guns were being used more too, and that was kind of a transitionary thing, and like people were still figuring out how to fight wars and on a global front kind of thing. So it's gonna be interesting. The coolest thing I saw about it, a lot of it kind of seemed like other Battlefield games, which I'm hoping there is a lot of weird stuff in it too. But one of the cool things was there's a Zeppelin. I don't know if it's on a specific map or on all of them, but I got to see a Zeppelin being shot down, and then when it falls, it can actually drop down and destroy like a specific part of the map, and it can change depending on where the blimp is, and it'll also like crush anyone underneath. And it looks cool. Like when it's going down, it looks just like the Hindenburg. Like it bursts into flames just like the Hindenburg did and stuff like that. They probably used that video as a reference, but it looked spectacular. So I think that's something cool to look forward to. I don't know much else about it, but I mean, more to come probably. Next on the list, Resident Evil 7, which they announced and also released a demo for, which I played. My thoughts on the demo was it reminded me of PT, however, it was not nearly as scary, which is a good and bad thing, I suppose, but good because I actually finished the demo. Bad because, I don't know, it just didn't have enough scare factor, really. The demo is a first person. You're walking around this house, and it kind of jumps around from different times. Apparently you get captured. You were like filming a reality show or something in this house, abandoned house with a couple other people, and you get captured, and then you're walking around the house, and there's these noises and stuff, of course, and Some stuff's going on. I kind of liked how like you would walk through a part of the house in the like prologue portion, like the before portion, and then in the after portion you'd walk through as well, but then maybe there'd be slight changes and stuff, and I thought that was kind of cool actually. I don't know how they're going to use that, or if that's even going to be how the game's going to be played out, but we'll see what it's going to be like. The demo didn't really get me all that excited for the game. It was just like, oh yeah, neat, they're making another Resident Evil game. And I didn't see any zombies at all, actually. The only person in the game, in the demo, that you see that's an antagonist is, I believe, like some guy that it seems like a cultist guy or something, and he like punches you in the face at the end or whatever. And I was like, okay, what just happened? And then it was the end of the demo, so I don't know exactly what's going on with it. It's probably meant to get people excited for it, but I don't know if it really got me that excited for it. So I think I'll have to see more before I can make a decision on that one. I only have a few left here, but next on the list is Horizon Zero Dawn. I thought that game looks like it's going to be pretty cool. You were in the demo they're playing, it looks like you're playing this girl with red hair. Kind of reminded me of Brave, actually, because she was using a bow. But the enemies in this game are all like robots, but they move like organic creatures, kind of. And you're having to kind of attack them with your bow. And I don't remember much else about it, but it looks gorgeous. You're kind of like out in the wilderness, and there's all these like things that look like animals, but then you realize they're robots. So I don't know what the story is behind it, but I am very intrigued. It looks like it plays very smoothly, though. There might have been slow frame rate on it, but obviously it's an early version of a game. But I'm looking forward to what that thing is going to be. So, and then we got We Happy Few. That was kind of a cool reveal. A very Bioshock-like vibe that I got from the trailer they showed. It looked like something where the title refers to you're in some dystopian world where people have to take I forget what they called the pill, but it was like happy or something, and then they're like, oh, you forgot to take your happy, and then you choose not to take it, and then you start seeing what the world really is, which is so not something you
it's wanna... like
it's like movie, Equilibrium,
The Giver.
Yes, Equilibrium also did something similar. It's a classic dystopian thing.
I don't know if I've seen that, but
yeah, you have.
Oh, okay.
It's the one with Christian Bale, and he has like these guns and stuff. And
oh yeah, first thing that came to mind was The Giver, that movie with Jeff Bridges, yep. And that.
That's another version of that trope, but yeah, they're using that kind of thing, and apparently you're being chased down once they find out you haven't been taking it, but now you've actually been seeing the world for how it is, and all that good stuff. It's not an entirely new concept, but I think it's going to be cool if they implement it correctly. So it was a neat little surprise, I think. And then finally on here, I wrote Ukulele down. That's the new game from the people that made Banjo-Kazooie and other games like that. But not Rare. It's like some people, I think they're ex-Rare. I forgot what their new studio is called, but I know they have one of the greatest composers that I think are of game fame, and that would be Grant Kirkhope. He's a pretty cool sounding guy, and he's doing the music for this one, so it sounds very much like something he'd do, and it looks kind of like the game itself looks a lot like a like a Banjo-Kazooie type game / maybe some Donkey Kong, because I actually did see some like minecart sections that reminded me a lot of Donkey Kong. So it looks like it'll be fun. Even it's funny. Even the text when the characters are talking, they made like the noises from Banjo-Kazooie, like the characters did in Banjo-Kazooie. It's like these short little sound bites of like what they sound like, and then they just play that at different frequencies and or different pitches, I mean, and to make it sound like they're speaking. So I thought that was cool. They made little jokes at the end of the trailer actually about how Banjo-Kazooie was eventually turned into like a different game in the third iteration. So that was kind of funny. They did a little bit of ribbon to that. But yeah, that was all the games on my list, and I felt like I took up a big chunk of the podcast. So it was kind of a longer podcast. Getting kind of warm in here actually, so probably wrap it up. But that was my little E3 coverage. I could have talked a lot more about it probably, but already going on a little longer. So I think next time I can go into more of the other stuff that's been going on, more games that I'll be playing. This week is actually Summer Games Done Quick is going on. I feel like I should mention this. Being held in Minneapolis, here in Minnesota, where we live, and at the Hilton, I believe. They're doing the Summer Games Done Quick. It's the summer version of the Awesome Games Done Quick event, which they always do like twice a year, I think. And this time they're doing a week of speedrunning games, and people are donating to the stream, and the donations go to Doctors Without Borders this year. They always choose a different charity every year. It's usually like cancer, or I think Child's Play was one of them one time. So all good stuff. Doctors with Borders is something that it's these doctors and stuff that go to like war zones and areas that need lots of medical help in the world, and they go and help where they're needed. Hence the Doctors Without Borders. They don't have a nation that they are working for, whatever. It's wherever they're needed in the world, basically, and they do really good work. So I suggest people check that out. We're in the middle of it this week, but the cool thing is it's going to be on Twitch, and a lot of cool like integrated stuff with that. If you donate, you can they'll make comments that you put in when you donate. I've donated already. I felt like I needed to again this year as well. And also, since it is on Twitch, they have archives of it that they put out. I don't know if they put it out till like a bit later, but you can always rewatch things that you missed, which is always cool. And you can also put your donations toward different things that they're going to do on the speedrunning, on the different speedruns that they're doing. So that's always cool. It's, a little more incentive to donate. So with that, is there anything else you wanted to do to sign us off, Candace?
No.
All right.
I'm looking forward to next week with the Cruiserweight Classic and Balor and Nakamura.
Well then, until next time, we'll see everyone. Well, we won't see you, but you'll hear us. So, hear us later.
Bye!
Everybody. Until next time. Goodbye.